We were just jamming to music there.
Oh yeah.
That's what it is. Well, welcome everyone to our very first NORE live stream. I am Jeff, joined here with Gavin. We are starting off the live stream series right now, doing something new. Gavin, this was your idea, so why don't you go through, kind of share what we've got in store with these different live streams?
Well, I had such a blast doing the live stream for the reef auction. I brought it up to Jeff and said, hey, let's do this again. Let's make it a monthly thing. Let's pick a topic. We have so many questions that people ask in our Facebook group. So let's pick a topic and let's cover it. Let's go outside of our monthly in-person meetings and do it where you can stay home and in the comfort of your home, learn something about reefing. And here we are.
That's it, yeah, because I know a lot of times we get, comments of, people are like, hey, I can't meet on a Sunday afternoon because I'm doing something with a family or I'm going to be working that time. Well, here's your opportunity. 1, to learn stuff. 2, to ask questions and get to be social with your other club members right here because, whatever you're doing, whether you're watching us live right now or you're watching this as a replay, you'll be able to get to that content because it's available 24/7, so no excuses.
There we go. So we chose our very first live stream. Let's talk about success. What is success? How do you define it? Where do we go with it? So Jeff, what do you think success in the reefing hobby is?
Well, success can be defined a lot of different ways. You could really define success on a lot of different fronts. And it's definitely a very exciting topic that I'm certainly looking forward to chatting about tonight. I know we've asked for some other feedback. You posted that survey up there, so we've got some of those different results. We can kind of talk about success. But, before we dive on in and really start talking about that definition that's right over there, success of exactly what it is, I want to learn a little bit about you, Gavin, of, what makes, tell me about your success in the reefing hobby. Obviously, you're here. You're treasurer of NORE and secretary. Been reefing for quite some time. Behind that black curtain there behind you, you got a whole bunch of tanks, and you also run Dirty Dogs Coral. So you obviously have some success into there. Tell me a little bit about your history in reefing, what got you into it, how you got started, because I think that's important to know. Of kind of each of us how we got started into this.
Yeah. So. I just hit the 4-year mark in the hobby. If you were on our Facebook group, you saw my little grow up of my tank there. So 4 years on that tank. That's a 55-gallon mixed reef. We added a 20-gallon long. That's a mushroom anemone tank.
Okay.
We got a little 5-gallon pico tank that we just kind of play with just a little clown goby in it. And then, and behind the screen, I have a 120-gallon grow out system, that's growing some coral for me and for Dirty Dogs. You can, see us at some of the local reef swaps with those.
Very neat. Very, very cool. So what got you into it originally? Like, what made you 4 years ago say, hey, let's try to keep an ocean in a glass box? That sounds fun.
This is actually a funny, and, I'll hear it from my wife later. She came to me one day and she said she wants a starfish. She had been at the local fish store and she said, I want a starfish. So we got a tank. I did a little bit of research. I didn't know much. Got a tank, got a canister filter, got a fluval marine light, got that set up, got some rock and sand, and we got a starfish, and some clowns.
So that was your first fish. Well, it's not really fish. Sea creature was a starfish?
Well, it was the clowns first.
Okay.
We got 2 clowns, but all in preparation to have a starfish.
There you go.
We ended up getting a serpent starfish. That thing, it lived for a while. It got picked on. It lost a leg. It got sumped. It grew the leg back. It got a huge hole in its disc. It healed that, and then one day it just disappeared.
Wow. Okay.
But 4 years later, got a tank full of coral and multiple other tanks going. I definitely have multiple tank syndrome.
There you go. That's how they multiply, right? Not
Yes.
only the things in it, but the tanks themselves. They seem to
And
multiply.
and probably what's worse is probably have more empty tanks laying around the house to do stuff with than I have tanks with water in them.
Yep, no, I'm guilty of that too. Totally have, empty tanks just sitting there ready for water.
It's like,
Up and around.
what do I need it for? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Something will come of it one day.
Someday we'll figure out a need for it, a use for it.
But Jeff, about you, we've all seen your tanks. We got it playing there in the background.
Yeah, we have live cams set up down there. That's actually upstairs right now. I'm downstairs in my basement here in the studio, but that's a live cam of the 220 upstairs. So it was interesting. My start into this hobby, it kind of all started where I didn't really have any aquariums growing on up. I mean, I guess if you count like goldfish when I was really little, but a few little very simple freshwater things. Didn't have much until it was one day about 9 years ago that one of my friends posted on Facebook that she had a 10-gallon saltwater aquarium and was giving it away for free to anybody that could come take care of it. And I'm like, that sounds fun. Sure, why not? Let's go through. Let's grab that. So I go out over there and pick it up, and it's this tiny little tank, and it had, I think, a clownfish, a pistol shrimp, and I don't know, one or two other little things in there of whatever that was. So I get it, and it's this tiny little tank, and I'm like, this just 10 gallons. Before you're in the hobby, you have no idea. Is it 10 gallons or is it 10 tiny little thing? So I'm thinking it's bigger than when I see it. I'm like, well, if I'm gonna set it up, I might as well set up something big, right? So it was that night I just went to PetSmart and was like, 55 gallon. That looks good. Let's just set everything up into there. And it was all kind of history from there, starting off, I knew absolutely nothing in the beginning. Actually in my very first stages, when I was first getting my first tank, I would look at this coral stuff for sale and I'm like, that's so boring. It grows so slow. And why would anyone want to grow that? You can't just get I am guilty of, I actually walked into Bluefish when I was first starting. I was like, why would anyone buy coral? Can't you just put fake plastic stuff in there? It looks the same. You don't need this. And well, now upstairs, that's my tank down up there. So went through several different tanks. My first ones are actually all up at my office. Starting off in the beginning, went through, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks. I had 4 tanks up there. And then COVID hit, we moved out of that office and was like, well, it's time to bring reefing home. That's when I went through and originally put in the 220 in my living room here in Bedford and plumbed it all through the walls, did the sump down in the basement, then added on different frag tanks as well downstairs, brought the anemone tank on over here as well, upgraded it, doubled its size. And the rest has kind of been history from there. You learn one thing and then you do another thing and then you rescue a few fish and then you start learning about coral and 9 years later, there you go.
And then the next thing you know, you got Remy and Raj in your house.
That's it. I had the pleasure of having Remy and Raj come over last year to shoot a Reef Builders video. So that's my 9-year history condensed down into a few minutes.
I always say if you want to see any of Jeff's reef tank, check out Reef Builders. They did an awesome shoot at his house. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a very, very fun experience for sure.
So as we go on this live stream, leave your questions in the comments. We'll go through and answer them the best we can. Or leave your comment about how you've been successful. But with success also comes failures. If you have a failure you want to share, something bad that happened, and how you kind of grew from that, drop that in the comments as well. We can talk about that.
Yeah, no, it looks like we've actually got a good little experience share here from Greg. Let's bring this on up. Greg says that he started with a sophomore high school biology experiment. Clownfish with or without an anemone. Sample size one with and one without. Very cool. That's very, very cool. So yeah, as Gavin just said, if you have comments or even if you have any questions about anything that we're talking about or really anything reefing related, maybe you've had a question, you haven't been able to make it to a meeting, or you've thought of this question but didn't want to be the one to ask in person, now's your time. You just type it into your phone or your keyboard or something like that. Now's the time. We want to hear from you. It makes this a lot more interactive and a lot more fun.
So yeah, we talked about the definition of success, and
Yeah, you
everyone
were all
has.
Googling it and bringing it up there, the
Oh yeah,
textbook
let's
definition.
pull it back up. See, the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. So your aim here is to grow something from the ocean in your living room, or in your basement.
So let's talk about that a little bit and figure out, why do people get into this hobby? What are some things that you think of? Why would you want to try to keep an ocean in your living room?
Well, like I said, mine started with the starfish.
Okay, because you
Yeah,
wanted a starfish.
yeah. So we did that, and then we went to Ocean Rift in Canton and saw the coral and started going different places. And my eyes were opened up to, okay, it's more than just you know fish in a box. There's a lot more that goes on, and quite honestly, now I'm more into coral. My wife's more into the fish, you know. But there's so much you can get into other than just a little thing swimming around the tank.
Yeah, you kind of think bigger picture on this is, well, first of all, fish are what drive people into the hobby for the most part. People will, see a certain fish, go, ooh, that fish is super cool. And it's usually the fish that bring them in, and then it's the coral that gets them addicted. That it's like, okay, let's go for this. But when you start thinking bigger picture of, what are things that bring people into this hobby, is it that they're doing it because really you're creating a living piece of artwork in your house is what it is. It's, some people have paintings on the walls. Other people have reef tanks on the other side of the wall. Like, it is a piece of artwork. And, I actually had a good conversation with my brother when he was in town over Christmas. And he's actually, it was the first time that he had ever seen my tank. And he's like, this is so cool because, everything's alive into here. And he's not into reefing at all. But what he does do is he builds reptile terrariums. And it's very similar because you've got the animals and the reptiles in there and then all the living plants up and around it. So it was really cool to kind of compare and contrast of, creating an artificial ecosystem in your house as art. It was really neat to kind of draw that comparison, reefing to another very similar thing.
Yeah. So you get started. What shows that you're successful? Is it you have a tank packed full of SBS coral, or your fish just haven't died? You know what what shows that you are successful in the reefing saltwater hobby?
That's a great question. I guess, it comes to your personal satisfaction of what does success mean to you. And yeah, like what you just mentioned were kind of the far extremes there. Of one is I have a massive SPS tank, packed full of coral and everything's thriving and the colors are beautiful, and you could have the other guy that's like, nothing's died this month. That's success. So, it really kind of depends on where you're going when it comes to that and what you define as success. So, as I'm, I talk to a lot of new reefers and they're like, where do I start? Where do I go? I'm like, pick small goals. You start off with small goals and you build it up from there. So, you get that first pair of clownfish. You go through, you keep them going. Then when you're starting to look and getting into coral, it's, you find a couple beginner frags and you watch one zoa polyp turn into 2, turn into 4, turn into 8. And that right there, that's your first win. That is like, I'm seeing growth. I am sustaining life, which is fantastic. You got to learn how to walk before you learn how to run. So you really want to start off with something simple, whatever that is, and then kind of build on up from there.
Now I know when I talk to people about reef keeping and coral, their first comment normally to me is, well, isn't saltwater more expensive? And I always answer is like, yeah, the fish are more expensive. You can get some pretty expensive coral.
More expensive than what, though? Like, is it more expensive than a goldfish? Yes. More expensive than flying an airplane? Probably not.
But dude, I haven't watched it yet. I need to. Did you see Andrew Sandler's his koi fish he brought in?
No, I know what you're talking about. I have not seen that either.
I think from what I've heard listening to other stuff, it's like a $20,000 koi. Don't quote me on it. Go watch Polo Reef and and see for yourself. You
Now,
know,
you've never been to Polo Reef, have you?
I have not.
Okay, yeah, no, it's I had the pleasure of going there. It was last year, and I mean, Andrew's such an awesome guy. Personally, gave me a 2-hour tour of his entire tank, and to being able to, it takes what you and I are doing, Gavin, and it's to a completely new level. Like, I mean, just his water processing and control system, is more advanced than any city in Ohio for their municipal water supply. Like, it's crazy what he has, and the fact that he's doing so many great things for the hobby, kind of just with the entire Polo Reef mission of just spreading knowledge, spreading awareness, and just really continuing and keeping the passion going for so many other reefers. It's really, really awesome. Plus, the tank looks pretty darn good too.
Yeah. So, talking about money, so yeah, it can be more expensive. Does it have to stay expensive? Do you have to go all out to be successful, or can you do it on a smaller budget?
And can it be scaled? That's also a great thing of, can you start off with a 20-gallon tank, find out if this is for you, and then upgrade later? Now, there's pros and cons to that, because sometimes then you're kind of inventing the mousetrap twice of starting it and then doing it again. But that could definitely be done too. My thought is, to answer that, no, you don't need to spend a ton of money to be successful. That's my thought on it.
Well, I can tell you this: the 55-gallon I started off with, that tank was new. The light was new. The canister filter was new. Every upgrade I made after that, adding a sump, adding AI primes, that was all used. I found those on Facebook Marketplace and got a heck of a deal on them.
That's it. And a lot of times when you're buying stuff, you're buying for pennies on the dollar. I mean, tanks used are a quarter of the cost, a fifth of the cost of something new. Take my two systems that I've got, the one in the video down there. That one, I built that from the ground up. That's basically was all brand new from the beginning. And it's a very successful tank. But the one that's actually right behind this wall right here on the other side of the studio is an Anemone system. And a lot of you have probably seen it, the Black Widow Anemone tank. That was a used tank that I bought off of some guy in Columbus. I drove on down there and asked him why he was selling it, and he says, I bought it. My wife said it was too big and it wouldn't let me set it up. So, okay, I bought that tank. It's got a simple return pump, a few random heaters into it, and a tiny little sump, and that's it. That's what's on that tank. I used some used lights on that tank, and it's been running for years, and it's just as successful as my main SPS dominated tank. So, do you need to spend $10,000, $30,000, $100,000 on a system to be successful? No, you don't.
See, my 50-gallon lowboy and my grow out system used. The 20-gallon frag attached to that used. My RODI not used, but I won that in a NORE auction or in a NORE raffle.
Yeah.
So there's ways you can do this hobby on a budget.
So let's. Somebody might be listening and thinking, all right, how would I set up a tank on a budget? We're gonna say I'm gonna give you. Let's give you a realistic budget, $1,000 budget, Gavin. What would you do? What would you set up? You have $1,000 to spend. It's not little, but I mean, it's still a significant chunk of change. But it's not, an infinite budget. How would you build it?
I don't know if the sale's still on, but Petco just had a 50% off sale.
Okay.
40-gallon breeder, so you're looking about $50 for that.
Okay.
Probably start with a hang-on back filter, unless I could find a decent sump online used.
You could also remember you can use Petco 10-gallon, 20-gallon longs. Those make great sumps.
True. So there you got $10 for that.
Yep.
You can get a J-bow return pump. If you go that route, there's nothing wrong with the J-bow. They're decently cheap. Same with their wave makers.
They're cheap enough. You buy two. You keep one on the shelf. So if the first one ever dies, you just put the new one on in. They're cheap enough.
Right. And then there's no lack of people selling lights on Facebook.
Yeah.
So whether you get a used AI prime, over a 40-gallon breeder, I'd probably want to go 2 AI primes, or you get the Night Crew or whatever those Amazon lights,
Yep.
those grow coral just as well.
So you're saying
You
we
know,
don't need the high end, most expensive Radeon XR30 to build out this tank?
no, and me myself, I can't fathom spending. This is just my personal opinion. I can't fathom spending $600 on one light.
No.
What's even worse is most tanks, that one light isn't enough. You need two.
That's it. Or three
Yeah,
or four.
yeah. So, there's $1,200 in lights. There, we blew our budget on lights right there.
Yep.
You know,
Co 40 gallon, either small sump or hang on back. What are we putting in this tank? What are we doing for a rock solution?
uh, I know I have a lot of spare rock that I would use. That I've got through different tank teardowns.
Okay.
Um,
Now, this is say somebody doesn't have, anything. I was going to say our NORE Facebook group. I'm always seeing people posting
Right,
rock up
people
there,
sell-
whether it's live rock,
Mhm.
previous live rock that's now dried out, and they're selling it for cheap.
And you can do that. I got some rock, and it sat for a while. I took it home. I bleached it, rinsed it, let it air dry, and it sat forever. So all that any chlorine left could gas off.
All the rock in
But-
my 220 came from a breakdown that I did the same thing. I bleached it, dried it, broke it apart, and built a new aquascape. So that's all
But that was-
previously used rock.
But that was actually given to me. A guy I worked with at the time used to be in the hobby, and he said, we started talking about it. And he said, "Here, have it." He gave me an old plastic sump and a bunch of rock and a protein skimmer that didn't have a propeller needle wheel.
Okay.
So you talk to people, get involved in Facebook groups, your local club, and you can find stuff for cheap, if not people giving away stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I mean, really, with how the different items that you were saying, building this $1,000 system, it sounds like you could pretty much get to this to where you've got water running for $500 or less, and that gives you $500 to fill it with livestock, because then you can get some fish, you can get some coral, and so what we're saying is, you don't need a ton of money to be able to be successful. Now, yes, does that $1,000 system include an Apex with Trident, automatic dosing, and all these bells and whistles? No, but it's also, the point is, it's not needed. It's a very nice convenience to have, but it's kind of like, a car. You have four wheels and an engine. It still gets you to point A to point B, whether it's a 1995 Toyota Corolla or a brand new BMW. One of them's nicer than the other, but they both get you to the same place.
Right.
Is what it is. Now, before we jump on in, it looks like we've got a couple decent questions on here. I wanted to go to these ones, then we'll jump back to our topic. Greg just jumped on in with another one right here. This was, I started off, actually, we already went to that one. There we go. We already did that one. There we go. Let's go to the next. Is this it? Yes. No, apparently it keeps them up there. All right, so we're learning StreamYard. Yes, we are. We're totally learning it right now. Here it is. Jake says, "Are you sure it wasn't living life at the waterfront at 7R?"
So that's directed to me.
Okay, I was like, am I supposed to know this? I'm very confused.
So I know Jake from Boy Scout Camp, Seven Ranges, and he worked for me when I was the aquatics director. So not quite saltwater. It was a dirty brown lake. But definitely you can say that kind of started my love for water.
Got it.
Now my waters is crystal clear, but in a box in my living room.
There you go.
He did have a good one.
Well, I was going to say, Bruce jumped on in, shared what got him started into this. I blame my neighbor for starting the addiction. Had to get some corals myself. Yeah, no, that's sometimes you see what your neighbors got, what your friends got. I know I personally have gotten a lot of my friends into the hobby. They come on over, see my tank, and at first, they say the same things. Oh, saltwater's so expensive, so whatever. And then 2 months later, I get the call. So, Jeff, what does it take to put a tank in my house? And I'm like, okay, let's talk. There you go.
And then, so here, Jake had a good one asking about LED T5 or hybrid. What is your opinion for coral growth success?
All right, so let's see. LED T5 hybrid. I've done all of them. So let's hear your opinion, Gavin, and then I'll share mine.
So on my main display, my 55 gallon, I've got four AI Prime 16 HDs.
Okay.
Um, my Zoas are doing great. I have a Hollywood Stunner that's like this big, that's doing great. Just started acros. I can tell you this: they haven't died because of lighting.
Okay.
You know, if they've gotten knocked off by my Starry blending into my Hollywood Stunner, that's a different story.
Yeah, pretty
Uh,
much nothing much more that can save them from just dying a
but
stunner death.
but I got a Miyagi tort from Tanner,
Okay.
and it's sitting in maybe 150 par, 150 micromoles, um, and it's growing. It's not dying,
Okay.
so I'm happy it's still alive. It's definitely grown. I fragged it and I shared a piece, traded it for a Bill Murray.
Okay.
Um, so LEDs work, but in my on my 50-gallon lowboy, oh look, my reaction. And my 50, my 50-gallon lowboy, when I bought that came with a T5.
Okay.
So I haven't grown a lot in it, but my Zoas are growing. Um, my elegances are happy under it. I just measured the other day with our new par meter. I just measured the other day, and it's sitting around 100 par. But I took some bulbs out because I thought it
Okay.
was too bright. Um, so T5 works. You know, I have a Viper Spectra that I've used. You know, the only thing I haven't used is metal halides. I
Yeah,
just have.
I've never used them as well. Not just basically, LEDs were kind of the new really awesome thing when I first kind of got into the hobby, and then it was I've used T5s, used that, but I was actually loading up a picture. I didn't know we were going to get on this topic, so I didn't have this picture loaded and ready to go. But actually, let's go through and do this like this. We are going to switch on over to, we're going to do this all live. All right, this will be, yes, just like that. That's what I want to do. And then I'm going to come down like this. And Gavin, if you don't mind, I am going to grab the screen for a second.
Go for
So
it.
this tank, this was actually my very first reef tank right here. This one. And this was still when I was very new into the hobby. And of course, I'm going to LFSs, and they are trying to sell me on these LED lights that are, do all these fancy, fun, special things. And I don't know if a lot of people if people know kind of my background, employment side of things, it's the special event industry. So audiovisual AV, special event AV. So, in doing that, I used a lot of stage lighting fixtures, a lot of them which were LED based. So, of course, when I'm a new reefer and they're trying to tell me you need to buy this $1,000 Radion, I'm going, no, you don't, I know more about lighting than you do, whatever. This tank grew for 3 years on stage lights. They were LED, but I set them to blue. And this is grown under these like stage DJ uplights. That's what I grew this under. So there you go. To show you, do you absolutely need a fancy, spectacular reef light? No, because this tank right here is proof that you don't necessarily need that.
Well, talking about lights, and we'll talk about our sponsors here later. But Brian from 330 Corals, he he uses I think maybe the Night Crew, some non-expensive light off of Amazon. And if you've ever been to his house and seen his tanks and his coral, everything grows.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have very expensive lighting. So price doesn't mean better.
Nope.
Cheap little black boxes or whatever doesn't mean you're not going to get growth. It's
I think it's more
all.
important on how you're using them. Let's compare, both LEDs. We'll take a Chinese black box, which is the common term for, kind of no name, no brand aquarium lights, buy them on Amazon, Alibaba, something like that, or a Radion, which will be considered like a high-end light. I think it's more important how you've dialed that light in, the right height above the water, the right intensity, you've got the right par levels. on that particular fixture, that is more important than which fixture you chose to go with. I think a Radion tuned poorly will be worse than a black box tuned correctly for whatever you're trying to grow. So I
Now,
think that has a lot to do with it.
Jeff, real quick, a little shameless plug here. You're talking about tuning your lights.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Tuning your lights. Okay, great question. So
Just real quick, we don't have to go into detail.
yeah, so
but what do you
basically,
mean by that?
with a light, how bright is a light, right? We could look at it and go, yeah, it looks bright, looks not. So what we're talking about is, and you mentioned it earlier, was the par level, and so that is you would tune your light with a par meter. Which, if you happen to be a NORE member, NORE Gold member, we have free par meter rentals. So be a NORE Gold member, get on that wait list to get that. It's a little meter. It's really simple. It's only got a couple buttons on it. A nice little wand. You stick it on down there, and then you can adjust your lights to whatever those levels are. We can spend a whole live stream just talking about par levels for different coral, so we're not going to go down that rabbit hole of what the optimum par is. In that tank that you see behind me, it's can be anywhere between 50 to 75 on the low end to that top it's down there. Anacropora colony back there is getting about 450, 475 at the tips. So it's and it's sticking out of the water. So there's a lot of things that some corals could take higher light, lower light, but that's what it is, tuning your light for both spectrum as well as intensity.
So if you are not an official NORE member, silver or gold membership, there's a link down in the description that should take you to our website. Our membership options are there. You get all these benefits, discounts at some of our sponsors, and one of the big things is, there it is, use of the our club par meter, which we now have 2 of. So as soon as we get a case for the second one, that'll get into rotation as well. And you generally have that for a week. So you get a week, and only thing you have to do is be a member. You don't have
Gold member.
Right. You don't have to pay a $600 deposit. You don't have to pay for the time you have it. You just have to pay. It's $50 for a gold membership. A gold family membership is $80. So get that membership, get your name on the list, and you get to use the club par meter.
Yeah.
The
things you were saying, like the $600 deposit, like that's very common, whether you get it from BRS. Actually, BRS doesn't even do deposits now. Now you have to buy it from them, and then you can return it for like a 80% credit or something. But I know some different LFSs around the area do charge that sizable deposit, which if you're a club member, you don't have to. But yeah, that's our website down there, and all the info about everything, all the other club benefits as well, which gives you a lot. There's also a lot of discounts to different areas and different suppliers in the area, fish stores, coral sellers, and whatnot, if you are a member of NORE. So if you're not, check out nore.fish.
So back to success.
Yeah, let's talk about. We got on tangents. I knew we were going to do this.
Yeah,
we're going to go on and off. That's what it's all about, though. This is only episode 1, right? We could come back. We might have to make this a weekly thing. I don't know.
So you can't have success without failure. I can tell you. Yeah. I'll talk about two of my biggest failures.
Okay.
First off, when I started, everyone's always testing, and you're looking, okay, what's my nitrates? What's my phosphates? Why am I getting this algae? It's because my nitrates are too high. It's because my phosphates are too high. How do I get those down? Do water changes. Well, I'm too lazy. I don't want to do water changes. How do I get those down? Oh, carbon dose. Dose NOPOX.
And it depends on whoever you talk to is going to have a different solution for you.
So I got NOPOX. Now, granted, this time I'm still running a canister filter.
Okay.
And I figured out my dosage. As much as I read on that label, I didn't read to say, use with a skimmer and aerate. So I dosed it that night, woke up in the morning, cloudy tank. Lost my Enthusiast, lost a Coral Beauty, lost a 6-line, lost a bunch of fish because of it.
Yeah. But sucks. That really sucks.
But I kept my Melanoris, lived through it because he was buried in the sand.
Okay.
And my clownfish lived through it.
I'm pretty sure a
They're,
clownfish will live through an apocalypse, though.
right, right. So that was my first big failure. And what really sucked is it happened in the morning, and I was getting ready to run out the door for work.
It
Like,
always, whenever something bad happens, it's always right before you leave on a trip, right before you got to go to work. Like it seems like that's always the case.
yeah. And then just recently, so just before the Cincy frag swap in January,
Okay.
it got really cold. Now my grow out system, it's in the basement. I live in a 1920s house.
Okay.
It's all sandstone. This basement gets cold.
Okay. Similar to where I'm at right now. I think this house
Yeah.
was built like 1918 or something like that.
So I had my 20-gallon frag tank isolated. It was cold. I threw in an extra heater that I had.
Okay.
Well, I tell you, the heater worked. It didn't stop working
Too well.
too well. I lost a real nice trachea. Pretty much the only stony coral that didn't die was my yellow submarine Favia. But I lost so much right before the Cincy frag swap.
How high did your tank temp get up to?
I didn't measure it
Okay.
because at that point it didn't matter. I knew it was too hot,
Yeah.
and yeah, but could something like that? You say that tank's the only tank you have. Could something like that get you out of the hobby?
It's
You know,
probably what gets a lot of
I
people
mean-
out of the hobby. It's discouraging. It's disheartening. Not only have you killed things, like it's a financial loss, it's an emotional loss, and it just makes you want to give up at times.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was, yeah. It hurt right here.
Yeah.
But,
And you were supposed to go do a frag swap, and hey, now all your frags are dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was that trachea. Now it was a normal green trachea. It was my first trachea. It was beautiful to me. Uh, I was so excited about taking that thing to a show. Well, I could have taken it as a skeleton though.
Yeah, no, it's that's hard. Luckily, knock on wood, I've not had anything quite that catastrophic. But I will tell you, this tank there did not always look like that. There have been a couple times where I've felt like I've wanted to give up on it. In the beginning. So in the once lights finally kicked in, and I did a 6-month cycle on this. So I patiently waited lights off 6 months of just running salt water, put in all the bacterias in a bottle and let it cook. I'm like, if I go 6 months, this thing's gonna be perfect. Yeah, well, I started with dry rock and bacteria in a bottle and didn't realize the ocean is not hospital sterile. The ocean has diversity into it. When lights kicked on, when I say, like, imagine walking into, like, your grandma's basement with brown, shaggy carpeting, that's what my rocks looked like. It was dinoflagellates that really, honestly looked like brown, shaggy carpeting, and I couldn't see any rock anymore. And no matter how much I pulled it out or whatever I did, it just kept coming back. And I'm like, and this is right after I built this whole thing in my house. And I'm like, I don't even want to continue. Like, I don't even want to move forward with this. And those are the times that you rely on the people that you know and the friends that you have in the hobby. And even if they're not friends, that's the time you go make friends. Because I can promise you, whatever issue you're having, you're not the first one that's had it. And you won't be the last either. Someone else has gone through that issue before. So after talking to a bunch of people, trying a bunch of different things, I was able to get through all of that. Finally, that all got knocked back down. And then I'm like, okay, I'm finally ready to put coral into this tank. I get coral into the tank, everything died. No matter what I put into this tank, everything died. I killed pulsing xenia. I don't know if that's possible, but I did.
I can't keep pulsing xenia, so don't worry about that.
Okay, I mean, I killed zoas, I killed pulsing xenia, anything. It looked great for a week, and then it died. And yeah, talk about, like, this was supposed to be like, is this my forever tank? Probably not my forever tank, but it's a 5 to 10 year tank for me. And I'm like, at this point, I'm at that, I was probably 4 or 5 years into the hobby. It's like, I should know my stuff to be able to keep a coral alive. What is going on here? And it really goes back to I failed to realize that starting a dry rock tank with only bacteria in the bottle and nothing that has established bacteria biodiversity into it is not a recipe for success. So at that point, shut the lights back on off, got some live rock from the Gulf of Mexico, shipped direct to my house overnight in boxes of water. It cost an absolute fortune. I put all that rock into the tank, let it cook for about another month with the lights off, turned it back on. Corals have lived ever since. So that's, yes, it hasn't been all, a very easy journey. There have been challenges. So going back to your initial question here, Gavin, is what do you think that, when a lot of people do hit one of these roadblocks, do you think this is the time that they divert out of the hobby because they hit a roadblock like this?
I see it, people posting their stuff for sale on Facebook is like, oh, don't have time, can't take care of it. Can't control my algae, selling the tank.
Yep.
So yeah, I think when you hit one of those, and this is another topic we can get into, it's like, and you can't fix it like that. They're like, okay, I'm done. That's it for me. I can't do it.
Golden rule that I learned long ago in reefing is if it took you X amount of time to get into the problem, expect the X amount of time to get out of it. People are like, I've got hair algae all over my tank and the sand bed is brown. And I go, okay, how long has it been like that? Oh, months. Nothing I give you or that you buy in a bottle, you dump in and tomorrow morning wake up to a clean tank. It doesn't work that way.
Right. Nothing, everyone always says this, nothing good happens fast.
Nope, but bad things happen real fast.
Right. So Jeff, go ahead and keep talking. I lost my browser somewhere here.
Cool. All right.
So I might have to completely pop out and pop back in.
Well, or I could drive if you want me to, because I've got it up here on the prompter. So I am going to dive out into it. Looks like we've got a couple great questions. If you have questions or comments or things that we're talking about, please drop them on in, whether you're watching on YouTube, watching on Facebook, whatever it may be. We want to pull these on up here. Kelly, we love Kelly. All right. Is there a list somewhere for the vendors that we know what discounts they offer? There should be. And that's on me because I update the NORE Reef website. Somebody shoot me a message or something to remind me. What are discounts that we know? I know Reef Culture gives 20% off all livestock to NORE members. So that's one. What other ones do we have, Gavin?
Shark Bait in North Canton. They offer a 10% discount. They are one of our sponsors.
Okay.
330 Corals in Akron. He offers a discount to NORE members.
Do we know what that is?
Look, and I will say this to Brian's face. No matter what he sells it to you for, it's a discount. And I always feel like I should be paying him so much more money for his stuff.
Got it. Well, Brian, if you're watching this, shoot me a message. Tell me what you want your official published discount to be, and I'll get it up on the NORE site for you.
But I do believe Harvey's Harbor offers a 10% discount.
Okay.
Dirty Dogs Coral offers a 10% discount to members, and all those are all our sponsors. Okay.
So it's most of our sponsors, which are all right up here. So really, most of our sponsors that we've got here looks like 330 Corals, some discount, whatever Brian decides to give. Harvey Harbors is 10, Dirty Dogs is 10, Shark Bait is 10, and Reef Culture is 20% off all livestock. It's also off with Reef Culture. The 20% is off some of the dry goods as well. Some of the dry goods it's 10%, some it's 20%, but there are discounts on dry goods as well.
I tried getting a Dash of Poodle is Kelly, and she was one of our board members, still an active member in the club, and she's just sponsoring the club because she loves the club. I tried getting her to give a discount on dogs, but
But
it
maybe
didn't work
let's
out.
see, what does Kelly loves? What does she loves a bunch of different things. Maybe you could trade some frags for a poodle. I don't know. We're gonna get a comment in here from Kelly soon. But no, great question there. Yes, I do need to get that up on the NORE site. I'll list it on the membership benefit page, so it'll be nori.fish/membership, and I will get
But
that comprehensive list up there for sure.
but all of our sponsors are listed on the website. They are also linked in the description of this video. So either their website or their Facebook page, you can click on that. Support our sponsors. They're great people. They do a lot for the club.
Totally, 100%. Kelly, this is Jake. Jake says, Kelly, how is the night crew? Are you liking it? Cool. So that was probably internal communication there. So feel free to jump on into that. Let's see. This is Kelly saying it's 23 hours of worry for 1 hour of enjoyment. Okay. There we go. We're getting real time feedback into here. Let's keep going, reading through all these comments. Kelly says Brian is great on prices. Yep, there you go. Pretty much exactly what Gavin just said with that, which is awesome. And then how about 500 off for NORE Gold members? 500 pennies off? No, 500 what? I don't. Oh, that's what she's saying for her dogs. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. $500 off a poodle, which she can put on it. It's a very specific type of poodle or whatnot. Kelly, drop it on there. I know you've told me before. I just don't remember exactly what it is. Okay, so let's keep going. We don't know where Gavin went. We lost Gavin, but that's all right. We're going to keep talking. So when it comes to success, really it comes to, why people get out of the hobby, if they're reaching one of those times where they don't have success. And it's not always just that. Sometimes other things will come on up in life. So whether it's, hey, we're having, we have to move, or, we have to downsize a home, or we're adding new family members, adding other pets, or whatever that may be. And at the end of the day, it really comes on down to, there we go. We got Gavin back. Welcome back.
And I can finally see the screen again.
There you go. We were just talking about other reasons that people may get out of that hobby. So other reasons that aren't failure related, but maybe other life changes related.
Well, I tell you this. I started beginning of the year. This was me, right? Reefer. That's all I had to worry about. Now this is me. Dad, I got a two month old right now. So life changes. Kids. New jobs. Change work schedule. My next hat I get to put on is we get off of here and I throw this hat on because I'm jumping off this live stream and going and working till 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So life changes. That can definitely lead people getting out of the hobby.
Yeah, it kind of comes to priorities. That's how I see it. We all have things to do. We are all busy, whether it's work related, family related, other commitment related. But it comes down to, what do you want? What is your reef tank or your aquarium or macroalgae tank or whatever you have? What does it mean to you? So if it's important enough to you, you're going to find time, whether you're a mother, a father, have a job that has you working at all hours of the day. You have to move houses. The tank's going to come with you. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have helped people move their tanks from house A to house B, because that's a part of them, and that they want to keep that continuing. So there's so many things that can cause you to get on out. It really just kind of comes down to what your priority is and what you want to focus on.
So speaking about being a new dad and talking about our sponsors, I do want to share this real quick. We were in the hospital and Brian asked, "Hey, what do you need?" And I said, "How about a 330 Corals onesie?" So there's little Wyatt in his 330 Coral onesie with his own little fish tank there. So that's how awesome a guy Brian is.
There you go. Love it. Love it. There you go. All right. Kelly jumped on in with the specific. That's it. Bernedoodles, poodles, and Bernese mountain dogs across mini and standard sizes. So, and even if you're watching this not in Northeast Ohio, she flies them all across the country. So wherever you are, she can get you a Bernedoodle. So you don't just have to be here in Northeast Ohio. Okay. So I got a question for you, Gavin.
Yeah.
We're talking about success. We're talking about failures. We've talked about that, but we've got another 15, 20 minutes left on this live stream. Where can people get their information from? It's, where do you get your information from? Where are some different sources that they've been listening to us chat for 45 minutes here, but where else can they get their information to be successful?
Right. Yeah, that I could go on forever from all the places I go. And like I said, I drive a lot. That's what I do. I'm either driving a semi or I'm driving a package car delivering packages. So, I can't be on my phone. Look, I listen to podcasts. I've got YouTube Premium, so I listen to, YouTube, old live streams and, reef builders, reef therapy, rapping with Reef Bum, Reef Beef. What other reef ones are there? There's
Melev's Reef. I know Mark's got one.
Yeah. Even the other guy.
The other guy. You got to give me more than
Devin.
that. Reef
Devin.
Dudes.
Reef Dudes. There's the new podcast out, Beyond the Reef. That's another great one. Dan Tidal Gardens puts some good stuff out, and he just started doing podcasts. So I listen to a wide range of of podcasts and and talk about it and learn that way. When I have questions, I tried Reef to Reef, but there's just so much different opinions on it. So speaking of my stuff I listen to, I'm going to take something from Reef Beef, and you're going to hear my beef for a minute. This is my beef. So you go to Reef, or you go to some huge Facebook group and you post a simple question. Well, the first question you're going to get are, what are your parameters?
And everyone's going to reply, they're fine. Yeah.
They're fine. And then the next thing, well, what are the numbers? But then you're going to get so many people telling you, oh, no, you're doing it wrong. No, you're doing it wrong. You've got to do it this way. This is the only way to do it. And so many people telling you that you're doing it wrong instead of looking at your issue, and giving you a suggestion. It's like, hey, it might be this. So we had where was it? Something, how do you get polyp extension? Where'd that go? Any tips for getting better extension out of the euphilia? Well, Ben, what are your parameters? What's your lighting? What's your lighting schedule? Oh no, you need to have them on for this amount of time. Do you have sand in the tank? Oh, that's your problem. You got to do it this way because this is the way I'm doing it. Instead of, well, Ben, have you checked your magnesium? Is it under the right amount of light? Could be a light issue. Have you checked for pests? These are things that could be going on.
Is it touching any other coral? Like, euphilia
Right.
is a broad category. If Ben's talking about a hammer that happens to be smothered by a torch, yeah, he's probably not going to be sticking mud mini polyps out.
But there's so much, and like I said, this is my beef. There's so much people throwing negative at it instead of, asking the right questions. And then even if they don't know something, I tell you what, I'm not an expert. I will probably never claim to be an expert, just because there's so much more to learn. But through everything that I've learned, listening to podcasts, watching videos, I will and this is how I answer a lot of questions, is like, here's what I know. This might be it. Here's where to go look to find an answer from someone who makes a living doing this stuff.
Yep.
So if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong, but I'm going to tell you, hey, here's someone that is going to know a lot more than me. Just like any QT questions we get that come up in the Facebook group, I can tell you a little bit about QTing. I tell you, did you do a cop, did you do copper? Did you do Prezi? What did you do? But I'm not going to be able to help that way. So any questions that come up about QT, I always tag Jeff, because Jeff's our resident QT expert.
As I'm sitting down here, there's like 27 fish around me currently in QT in a variety of tanks all up and around here. And I don't even call myself an expert on it. There are times that, I'll have to go look something up, or I'll see something different, or I'm just not quite sure about something, and I'll go look it up too. And I guess the point that we're trying to make here is there's so many different sources of information, and it really comes to what is your best way to consume information. Are you one that just wants to read about it? Well, there are websites and forums and articles that you can read it. Are you someone that wants to sit and watch a video so you can get visuals with it? So you can watch a YouTube video that says, here's what you're looking for. This looks good. This doesn't look good, and have it in a more visually appealing type format. Or are you someone like Gavin who, has a long drive and maybe can't watch something, but can listen for hours and hours on end, and then podcasts might be your thing, because you could just have that information feed on into your head as you're driving a semi-truck back and forth to Columbus or Pennsylvania or wherever you're going.
But to answer your question, there's a lot that could be happening. What I would do, I would check my magnesium. If you really want to get into it, do an ICP and check your manganese, because sometimes that plays into euphilia. But I have also found personally that if I stop dosing my trace elements, my hammers start to shrink in. And as soon as I dose my trace elements again, they come out and they're happy. So there's so many different answers. That's how I would approach it first. Magnesium, manganese, and are you overdosing or underdosing your trace elements?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's an ICP is a great way, and it also will tell you if anything else is really wrong. And a lot of the ICP companies, there's a bunch to choose from out there, make it super simple and kind of give you, it's almost like a stoplight. This one's green, you're good. Yellow, maybe, or red, this is a bigger issue. So even if you don't understand, what does cobalt do for my coral, or if I'm high in iron, what is that going to do? You could read stoplight colors of green, I'm good. Yellow, I don't know, be careful. And red, oh boy, better watch out. So, yeah, no, that's good. Kelly, I have dropped this one. This is a good one. My new beef is when people say they don't have room to set up a QT. Everyone has room for a 10-gallon tank somewhere. They are either lazy or want a quick fix, or are too scared to do it. Well, Kelly, I can see another episode of this being on Fish Quarantine, and I'd love to. I know your story. I'm not going to tell your story. You can go see it on the Facebook page. She wrote up a really, really good article about it. I'd love to bring you on even as a guest on that to kind of share your experience and figure out right now, I love what you're saying. You're saying everybody has room for a quarantine tank. They're either too lazy to do it or scared to do it. But yet, 6 months ago, you were one that was buying fish and dropping them into your tank, and unfortunately, you had to learn the hard way. So I want to share your story, not to go shame on you, you did something bad, but it is the fact of you had to learn it the hard way. If you share your story, maybe somebody doesn't have to go through all the hardships that you did to end up where you were. So there we go. We're not going to get on the entire Fish QT train right now. Let's keep talking about success, but that could absolutely be another episode right there.
I will say, even wherever you get your fish from, QT, or at least do some sort of observation. Whether whether, if it's a local fish store or online, and they say, they treat, still do an observation.
That's
Because a
it.
lot of times those fish are in and out of there, so fast. Sure, they may have been in copper, but were they in copper long enough at the proper level?
And at what level of copper? That's it.
Yeah.
Copper's one of those things of you're riding such a fine line. If you're lower than 2.2, it's not effective to kill a lot of the different diseases. You go over 2.5, you're going to start killing fish. That's a very fine razor margin you've got to hit. And it fluctuates daily.
But I've heard, fish stores saying that they run copper in their system. It's like, you've got so many gallons of fish display systems here. It's like, are you at a therapeutic level, or are you just running copper to say, hey, we're treating our fish?
You have copper on the. It's also, you think we're totally going down the copper and QT rabbit hole right now, but I could talk about this all day. But it comes to copper, it is a poison. Like, that is one thing you need to realize when you're putting it in and you're subjecting fish to copper. It is a poison. What you're doing is you're making that poison level at the level to where it's killing whatever disease or parasite that you're trying to kill off, but not kill the fish. But it's not a good thing to expose a fish to copper for more than the treatment period. So if you've got it, this fish has been swimming around in copper for the last 6 months, that's not a good thing right there. You want to go through, expose them out to the copper to kill off whatever it is, and then get them back into clean salt water. So, as far as, Gavin hit the nail right on the head of, even if you're just doing an observation QT, that's better than nothing right there. The only person that you can truly, truly trust is yourself of what it is. So, every fish that comes into my house here, I go through and I personally quarantine. Any fish that goes on up either in one of our stock tanks, one of the farm tanks, or for sale up at Reef Culture gets quarantined here at this house before it even enters the farm facility. And we do that for a couple reasons. One, anything that's wet can bring a fish disease or coral disease, for that matter, into your tanks. Going through, and does it take a ton of time? I spent 3 hours today just changing water here on my QT tanks here at home. Yeah, there's a lot of expense. There's a lot of time that goes on into it. But it's the difference between selling fish to people that they know that they are getting a fish that's healthy, that is eating, and that isn't going to crash their whole tank. Or getting a fish that's come straight from the wholesaler, which came straight from the ocean, and you have no idea what you're getting at that point. So this is a topic. We're going to stop it right now. That is going to be a topic for another day, but we could talk forever when it comes to fish quarantine, fish disease. So to wrap up our success here and talk about success, Gavin, what do you think are some of the most significant things people can do to promote personal reefing success? So that is success, whether something that they did that is, they want to share with people, or how, if someone's watching this and going, I want to get better. Maybe they just know how to keep a pair of clownfish alive and have never had coral, or they're currently having some softies and want to get into more advanced coral. What are some things that they can do to promote their personal success?
I would say work on your husbandry. So tank maintenance, testing, get that down packed and on a routine schedule. That way, it just becomes second nature to do it, and it doesn't become a task. And then once you get that, say, you have that clownfish tank and you want to throw in an anemone and you haven't. Do your research, go learn, and then get the anemone. That way, you've learned about it before you got it, instead of getting it doing bad, and then you going out in a hurry trying to learn what's wrong with it.
I've been guilty of this many times in the beginning of, you should never be going into somewhere, learning about something learning out what it is and buying it on the same day. It's probably not a good, whether it's a fish, whether it's a particular, whole strain of coral, you shouldn't go, oh, what type of fish is that? Oh, I think I'm going to get, because every fish is different. A fish isn't a fish. Some are swimming in open water, some perch on the rocks, some bury in the sand. Some are more aggressive, some are more timid. They're all different. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying of learn about whatever you're getting before you get it.
And then I would also say is don't be afraid to fail. Realize that everyone fails in this hobby. You get that new coral and it doesn't live. You spend a lot of money on that new coral and it doesn't live. Does that mean that you're never going to be able to, to keep something like that? No, you just got to, what's that song? Dust yourself off and try again.
That's it.
But realize that, okay, this wasn't quite right. How do I make it better so I can go get this, this coral that I obviously, liked it enough to spend, let's just say $100 on it. I've come to the point in the hobby where I don't buy too expensive. Like anything over $100 for me it's got to be something good.
Coral wise, you're talking?
Coral wise.
Okay.
But I got some of the Fiji stuff from you at Lear.
Okay.
That is it the Fiji, the Welso or whatever it was?
Are you talking the yellow leather?
No, it was almost like a little trachea.
Okay, yeah.
And I got one from you, and I got one from Cherry Corals.
Okay.
I have 0 of them left.
Ugh.
Which that was two $90 pieces. So there's $180.
Yeah.
Am I mad about it? Yeah, I'm mad about it. But at the same time, I realized my investment into it, I may lose it, but it's how I, come back, learn what was wrong. Could it have just been that Fiji just opened up and all that Fiji coral just came into the vendors and then went to a frag swap? Could have been something in my tank, lighting. Could have been. I don't know. But I could either let that take me down and be like, I'm never getting these again, or right now just wasn't the right time. I'll make my system better and we'll try again in the future.
That's it. Sometimes sometimes you just you have some bad luck with things, and it doesn't mean give up. It means just continue. The question that that I asked you, what people can do, I think and I touched on this a very little bit at the beginning, is, making friends in the hobby, socializing with others, both locally and on a national level as well. So whether that's, joining a reef club, coming to meet some of the people that are in the reef club, participating in the Facebook groups. It's one thing, it's great if you're part of the Facebook group, but participate in it. That is, whether it's asking questions on your own, or if you know an answer of something, because we're all not experts on everything. Myself included, Gavin included, we're not experts on everything. Maybe somebody posts a question that you know the answer to. Go through and drop your experience, or at least your personal experience on that. Also, going through and, say somebody asks a question and you're having the same issue. You could jump on it and go, wow, I'm having the same thing. This is what I've noticed. What about you? And then you could start to have a discussion. And whether these are the open public communications right there on the group, or you start direct messaging them, or, that's how I've met a lot of people in this hobby is, whether I'm helping them, they're helping me. And then we learn that, again, we are not all experts at everything. And there are things that I know a lot of other people, whether it's in NORE or from across the country, that know different topics way better than I do. When I have a question about that, I'm asking them. But then when they have a question about something else, they might turn around and ask me. So what I'm saying is we all have information that we can share with each other. Also, if you have not had the opportunity of going to different reefing events, whether they are local based like our NORE events, or even national events like MACNA or Aquashella or Reefapalooza, that one just recently took place down in Orlando, definitely something worth planning a weekend and going to. You learn so much. Now, all those events, again, another topic, Gavin. We could talk all about comparing different events and what makes Mackinac different than Shella, makes Shella different than Reefapalooza. They've all got their pros and cons and different things they focus on. But being able, it's kind of like, whatever your job is. Take whatever your job is. A lot of jobs will have you go away for a conference or a quarterly retreat. And the thing about that is when you go away, go out of town, you're fully immersing yourself in whether that's leadership building or whatever it is with your company. Well, when you get to go to one of these events, you live and breathe this hobby for 3 to 4 days straight. And that's all you focus on. And you get to meet a whole bunch of really cool people. You get to learn about a lot of brand new things into the hobby. And it's a lot of fun, too. So those are other things, if you've never had the opportunity of going to them. I've gone to Mackinac since probably 2017, at least every year that it's happened, which it didn't happen 2 or 3 of those years. I think 3 years it didn't happen. But it was supposed to be in Pittsburgh last year. That one didn't happen. But it's at Walt Disney World this year. So take the kids to Disney. Take the family to Disney. It's at Swan and Dolphin, end of August this year.
And I've heard they do have Disney packages included. Okay. So don't quote me on it. That's what
I haven't heard that, but that's cool. But yeah, I know it's at Swan and Dolphin at Disney. And so Mackinac's a great event to attend. But let's go. We did mention about the NORE events. We have an upcoming NORE event that is taking place not this weekend, but next weekend. Gavin, what do we got going on?
Dude, we have, where'd that go? I knew I was going to do it, and then I forgot about it. Is it there? Yeah. May 5th, we have our NORE member tank tours. So Cinco de Mayo. Jeff's taking the lead on this. I know we'll be going to Jeff's house. We'll be going to Reef Culture. We'll be going to Brian's house through Corals. I think we got Tanner possibly on the list. And we've got Nathan on the list.
You nailed it. You got them all. So you did very well. So you read your cue card.
That was just all in my head. Yeah. So this is going to be a great event, Jeff. What will we be doing with that?
Yeah, no. So it's going to be Cinco de Mayo. It is Cinco de Mayo just happened to fall on our first Sunday, which is when we have our meetings. Information and registration will be coming out shortly, as in hopefully by the end of this week. It will be limited to 20 participants, meaning you got to be one of the first 20 to sign on up for this. The reason being, we are going to transport you from place to place in a giant party bus. Yes, so we're going to get a party bus that seats 20 people. Going to load everybody on up. We're going to go to all these different stops. It wouldn't be Cinco de Mayo without tacos and margaritas. So at one of our stops, we are going to be having tacos and margaritas and looking at aquariums. 5 different stops all across Northeast Ohio. It'll be $20. So $20 includes your food, includes beverages, includes the transportation. If you do quick math on that, you learn, it's just a fraction of the cost of what it costs to produce an event like this. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's the first time that we've done this. You're going to get to see a lot of really cool tanks, a lot of really cool setups, and this is one of these opportunities that you'll be captive on a bus for 3-4 hours with people that share the love of this hobby, the same hobby you have. So you can really kind of learn some things, meet some people, and so even if you've never gone to an event before and you're like, this is the first one, boom, this would be a great one to come. Registration, I'll put all the links and information on our Facebook group page, so on the Facebook group. So it'll be limited to the first 20 because that's all the room that we have on the bus. So that is going to be coming up. That is not this weekend, but next weekend, Sunday, May 5th.
I know, we've definitely got some good tanks there. We got Jeff's tank. He's been on Reef Builders. Then Nathan, is it Geist? Is that how you say his last name?
I think so. I know he just did a video with Than. He's done multiples with Than.
He had his tank, on Tidal Gardens. So these are some pretty good tanks. I'm excited to go around and see them.
Yeah, so that's all coming on up, not this weekend, but next. And then the last thing here before we wrap up, because, I'm sure there's people that ordered fish and coral that, need their package delivered. So we got to let Gavin go so we could drive that UPS truck to make sure people get their packages for tomorrow morning. Live streams. Let's talk about what's this is kind of your baby, your brainchild right here, these live streams. What's your plan with the future of these?
So Plan on do this every month, and going to be about the second to last Wednesday of the month. Now that'll of course be based on our schedule, but we'll give you some notifications and update on our Facebook group and in our YouTube channel. But like Jeff talked, QT, we can go into QT. There's so many different areas we can go into. So keep your eye on our Facebook group or whatever Facebook group you're a part of. We try to share to everything. Keep your eye on our YouTube. My plan is to get more videos about what's going on out on our YouTube. But we definitely plan on continuing this. This has been fun, and see where we can go. I love sharing information with the community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So whether you're watching this right now or you watch this after, even after the stream closes, drop a comment on down there below, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook. Let us know what you thought. This is the first time that we jumped on here and did this. We'd love feedback. So things that you really liked about this stream, things that you may want to see changed about it, or other topics that you'd want to see in the future. So we're going to try to start this off, do this once a month. So that'll kind of give you two things. We'll do one in-person meeting and then one live stream, and be able to kind of take it from there. So yeah, leave us comments. We would love to hear from all of you. Again, I am Jeff. We've got Gavin here as well. Thank you guys very, very much for joining. And do you have any final words that you want to close this on out with, Gavin?
I could have a lot more words, but I got a 7-minute drive that I have to make in like 3 minutes to get to work. So I got to get out of here.
You get out of here. Thank you guys very, very much, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye, everybody.
Oh,